Hey guys, so welcome to today's stream. Honestly, I didn't check the mic, so I don't know if everything is working, but I hope so. And whoa, hi Adam, awesome to see you. And yeah, I wanted to talk a bit about the InstaMAT update 2026. And as you can see, I have a wine bottle textured here, and this is a request from the King's ambassadors. He always asked to do something different than environments and yeah, something product specific. And honestly, this is not something I usually do, so not sure how good that is. And yeah, I'm not too prepared, let's say. But yeah, I wanted to fulfill his request and we can check some of the new tools with this mesh. So that's quite great, I think. Actually, I don't know if he's here or not, but yeah, probably maybe he will see that. Yeah, so let's maybe first, yeah, let's do this first actually. So I'll delete all my layers here and start from scratch. Let's see, to have the refraction, I added an opacity map by going to add channel, and yeah, we have then our opacity. And to actually see that, we need to change the render mode to translucent. And when I add a layer here, a multi-channel layer in this case, let's make it brown. How is it going, Adam? Let's see, brown is always quite hard to dial in, but I think this should suffice. And to get some refraction, we need to enable the opacity channel. And yeah, this is a low poly mesh. So for a product presentation, I should probably have used high poly, but yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, this is the the mesh. Okay, so what I first did is I added a multi-channel layer with a roughness channel, so I disable my base color here and use the graph resource as roughness for the roughness. And actually I have quite a nice custom grunge for this. It's this one. And as you can see, while we work, the translucency is maybe a bit, makes it a bit hard to see. So I turn it off for now and go for opaque. And I think this grunge looks quite nice on this. Let's set the projection mode to UV. I have nice UVs today, so this will work. Okay, next step, I added a label. No, actually no. Let's go back to this layer, add a new multi-channel layer. And I want to make some details onto this bottle, some height or normal details. So I disable the base color, enable height, and leave that at add. I'm wrong, I need a multi-channel brush, not a layer. So again, let's disable the base color, enable height. And so yeah, for the first new feature, we're gonna use the Radial Symmetry. And as you can see, I have quite a lot of brush strokes. And they are currently on the x-axis, but I want to have them on y, so I just click Q. And yeah, all of my shortcuts are working. Let's set the softness here to, yeah, I think 100%. And we have a few options here, like the count, so I can set it to 24. And yeah, some different ones like the plane origin, the angle span, raycast enabled. Yeah, this will project the mirror strokes onto the mesh surface using raycasting. And I think this is the new mode. It works quite nice also for non-symmetrical meshes. So I'll leave it as that. Yeah, those settings, you can try to adjust those if your mesh is not fully symmetrical and yeah, the strokes are not nicely on the mesh. But in this case, it's yeah, fully symmetrical, so I don't need to do anything here. And the preview size is the preview size for the other strokes. So when I turn it to 0 or set it to 0, the previewed ones are yeah, quite small. I like to leave it at 100. And yeah, then some other settings like show the center. It's the blue, blue center dot. You can see here. And show lines, you can see those lines. But I leave that off. Anyway, so I want to paint a few details here at the bottom. And with the radial symmetry, it's quite nice because I can, yeah, paint around the bottle here. So I just press a few times. And let's maybe make some more. I think those are usual bottle details. I think that's enough. Okay, let's go up here and add some new, some more details. Let's maybe set the count to 16. In this case, the center, yeah, is a bit in the way, so I turn it off. And let's do a linear stroke. So I press my left mouse button, then press and hold Shift, go down here. And I click. Maybe the roughness here is a bit too intense. Yeah, I think the detail is quite nice. Maybe let's do a few more of those bumps. Set it to 24 again. Maybe like this. So as you can see, the radial symmetry is quite awesome to add nice details quite fast. Yeah, do we need more details? Maybe at the bottom here. Yeah, let's make some additional ones. Then let's turn on the opacity again, the translucent rendering again. And I now want to add a label, which is, what is this layer? This is the roughness. Let's keep that at the top. And I add a new multi-channel layer. Set it to not white, maybe something like that. Let's enable opacity and let's keep it at 100. Also roughness, let's make it rough. And let's now set the projection mode to decal. So we can create our label. Like this maybe. Let's duplicate that and do it on the other side, but smaller. So I think such bottles usually have 2 labels. Yeah, maybe like that. What I want to do, I want to add a bit of height information to this. Not too much. I'm at 73. I want to do the same here. Okay, so let's keep on working on this one. Let's add a layer reference to this. And let's add a new multi-channel layer. Set that to, I think it doesn't matter. Let's use a red color, maybe something darker. And let's use the reference generator here. This is, how is it called? Cover, bottle, etiquette. I don't know. I just name it cover so that I know what I'm doing here. So I use the layer reference on cover and use the internal mask. And then I want to use the, I think it's mesh volume mask. Let's disable the softness. And for the thingy I had a CCO image of wine. Let's set that not to decal but to UV. Probably have to scale that. Let's get this to the top. And let's also use the reference. And this is probably to go below. Not here, but here. Offset that a bit. In this direction. I think it's X. Yeah, and then I think I added, what is this layer? It's the back. I want to add a new multi-channel layer. Set the color to something blackish. And I want to use a mesh projected mask on this. And use the text, not test, but text. And in this mask we can set the projection mode to decal. Let's rotate it by 180. And yeah, let's just assume this is a premium brand. Yeah, I think this is all I've done. But again, I'm no product designer, so not sure if this suffices or not. As you can see, we have this premium at the other side as well. So I want to adjust my decal bounding box a bit. So that's gone. Where's our roughness? I think I also added some water splashes. It weren't the best, but let's just try that again. So I use a multi-channel layer again. Yeah, let's get rid of the color. Let's make it fully shiny. And for the height, I think I use the meta bolts. And yeah, maybe a bit higher count. let's use an iterate node here. Okay, I think I need to use the metabolts in the InstaMAT projected mask instead of here to be able to use the iterate. I didn't think of that. So let's use a mesh projected mask again. And let's set up the metabolts again. I think I had 128. And now I can use the iterate node. Yeah, not the best water droplets, but I think it's okay. Maybe we can mask it with a mesh gradient, mesh gradient mask to have a bit more at the top and a bit less at the bottom. So yeah, this was the request from the King's ambassadors. And I think you see that. So let's check a bit more on the update. So what we saw here was the radial symmetry for this stuff. And for those details, for those. So this is really useful, I think. And I think what most of you are here for is the curves brush. I have to see which project that was. I think it's this. Nope, that's not this. It's the other one. And I'm horribly low on meshes, so I have to reuse this again. And it's by no means optimized or anything, but it will do the trick here. Hey, unnamed player, thanks. And yeah, for the curves brush, you can add it in the same menu that you add your other layers. So we have the multi-channel layer, element layer, multi-channel brush, and here's the multi-channel curves multi-channel brush. So let's just add this. And as soon as we added that, we can paint curves. I think I explained quite a lot in the last video, but I tried to go a bit into detail. Yeah, it is right, but it really needs some optimization. I mean, look, it has all of those material channels. Yeah. But I never really got into finishing that. It also would need a few more details, I think. It's like a bit more stylized currently. Yeah, that's actually what I planned. But again, I would need to give him a bit more details to finish this. But yeah, it's nice for what it is. Anyway, so for the curves, maybe the basics. As you can see, we can just move all those points here. We have handles where we can adjust the points. And we can just continue the curve, for example. And yeah, all of the hotkeys or shortcuts are working here as well, as you would have in the usual brush. And yeah, we have this new menu in InstaMAT here now. So you have settings like radius, flow, rotation. So basically things that you have here, but they are quite nicely accessible now. And yeah, I can, for example, scale by pressing Ctrl and my left mouse button and dragging up and down. I can also do that per point which is quite nice. So we can get really nice effects. And as soon as I use something per point and I scale the other curve or do anything here, the curve values will remain. But you can press a point and go to this arrow here and reset that. And when I now reselect the curve, I can scale the whole curve again. And the same is true for spacing, but yes, single points don't have a spacing parameter. But rotation, for example, and flow. And what we cannot really see here is the rotation. So let's maybe add a different brush alpha. And I prepared some stitches, some simple ones. Yeah, this is, I think, one of the best use cases to make stitches and stuff like that. So anything that has to be along a line, this makes it really easy. And yeah, there's now a new shortcut for rotating the brush. I think this was requested by quite a lot of people. So when I press Ctrl-Shift and hold it and then my left mouse button and drag it up and down, you can see I have this point selected, so it only influences the strokes around the point. But when I select the curve, it's again for all of those. Let's reset it. Okay, I need to select the curve. And in the brush setting, you also have this path-oriented setting. So if you enable that, your brush alpha will follow the curve. And I can adjust that nicely. And there are different other settings. Like, I think I didn't show the position parameters in the last video. So this is the, this will smooth the joints. And the offset is also quite nice. Let's reset that to 0 and 0. And yeah, maybe let's just start from scratch and create a new curve. And let's actually make some seams on this part of the mesh. So I use my stitches again. And I want to have them brownish as well. And I want to have some height or normal information. So now when I want to give him some stitches, I can just paint my curve here or place my points. Let's increase the spacing. And let's not forget to enable path-oriented. I think they also need a bit of roughness. I don't have a proper alpha created for them, so the influence of color and roughness and stuff like that won't be perfect. Should have done so probably. Let's maybe make them a bit darker. And yeah, now I can nicely lay out my curve. Not with the handle. And when you have a longer part without a point, you can see this line is now occluded, and yeah, you don't have anything on the mesh. Just need to select your curve, and when you hover over the curve, you can see a point preview. So when we now click, it will place a new point. And with Ctrl, Shift and C, I can start placing a new curve. As you can see, we have a new curve here. So this is in the same layer. And if you don't want to see this curve, but only want to focus on your own, you can go to the settings here and turn on show selected curves only. So as you can see, we don't have the curve preview here anymore. So, but now in this case, when you want to reselect it, you need to go in this layer stack here and select your other curve. So sometimes it's good to have it on, sometimes it's good to have it off. The same for the handles. You can either show the handles for the points or disable this. We can't see this now because we don't have a point selected. And also for the occlusion lines. So for example, when I rotate here behind this mesh, the curves are still visible. And if you want to create new curves here on this mesh, on this side, yeah, it might be a bit annoying. So you can turn on or turn off show occlusion lines. And now you can only see the point that is selected. But when I rotate to here, I can still see my curves. Turn that on. And when I have a curve selected and now use the, for example, scale, or let's set the radius here. You can see that this affects all curves in this stack here. I'm not sure why they don't follow. Might be a slight issue. Anyway, when I have only a point selected, so when I have a curve selected and then use the scaling, for example, the radius, you can see that both curves are affected. So if you want to have curves that are different, you'd need to create a new curves layer. But yeah, color and stuff like that, rotation, spacing is global on all of the curves here. So I can change the color with the swatch here as well. Okay, so when I want to have another curve that is the same as this one, I can just press Ctrl and D and it will duplicate it. When I now press W and go up here, you can see we have duplicated our curve. Yeah, but obviously you need to set it up again. Maybe I can make my points a bit bigger. And yeah, I can just continue my curve. But in case you want to place a new point at this side, just go to your layer stack here, press right click and use the reverse order option. And then we can, paint here or place new curves at the other side, or new points, not curves. And when I press and hold Shift, you can see we have a preview. When I now click, the curve will be exactly placed exactly like the preview was. And same for closing, I have to press and hold Shift and press on the end point or the first point of the curve, then click, and the curve is closed. So for the point options, we can set this to either smooth mode. Smooth mode is the default one, but you can set it to symmetrical as well, so both handles will always be symmetrical. We also have the convert to cusp option, and now I can have sharp angles. And we can also disable both controls. Now this will be linear, or you have a completely sharp angle. This option is will enable linear mode when adding points. So for example, when I create a new curve and start adding points, you can see that they are in smooth mode. But when I now click on this option here or on this icon, all of those will be linear that I now place. Let's turn off the show occlusion lines. As you can see, if you do a lot of curves, it will get quite crowded. So I can always turn that off. Okay, maybe something a bit more general. Let's add a new multi-curves channel brush. And what's also quite nice, when I place a curve, I'm still in the linear mode. Let's turn them to smooth mode. Smooth mode. I think this is linear as well. And as you can see, this is set to this to the pen, so it means the stroke will be painted. But I can also set this to eraser. So when I duplicate this curve and set that to eraser, we can see it erases the previous one, and can make quite nice effects like this. And we can also reverse the order or just drag and drop them. Doesn't make much sense in this case because the eraser will only work when I have something in front of it that is painted. But in case I'd have a new curve, and I paint it here, I now want the eraser to also influence this one. I'd have to drag it down. So yeah, I think this is quite an awesome feature with a lot of possibilities for really nice effects. And yeah, I think it was also quite awaited. So glad it's out, and it's quite awesome. Again, I love to use that. Okay, not sure if I forgot anything here. In case you want to know the shortcuts, I think it's turned on by default, but at Preferences and Viewport, you can enable this Show Viewport overlay. So this is new as well. When you now press Alt, you can see all the shortcuts for the mode you are currently in. So this is the shortcuts for the curve. When I don't have anything selected, I have the shortcuts for the viewport here. And yeah, what's also new is the lazy brush. So when I add a new multi-channel brush, you can see we have this same menu here. And yeah, I think I showed this in the video as well. But anyway, so this lazy brush will help you to paint smoother strokes. And it's always quite nice if you want to follow yeah, certain lines or something like that. Yeah, I messed it up a bit. So maybe let's delete those. And let's take a look at the symmetry. So when I use a new multi-channel brush, and the planar symmetry also got some updates. As you can see, we now have a line following where it's mirrored. I can, for example, turn off the plane and have only the line. Can also adjust its width or even the color. Oops. But I can only also turn it off. Where was it? Show intersection, okay. And then I have only my brush preview. And what's quite awesome, when we press W, now we can't really see this because I turned everything off, but when I turn on the plane or the intersection here, you can see that our point of the mirror operation will get moved. Yeah, I think it has some issues here because of the other mesh. Maybe try to paint on this part. Again, it has so many materials. Let's quickly give him a leather or something. Yeah, should suffice. Yeah, new multi-channel brush. Let's turn on planar symmetry. Yeah, not as expected on this mesh. I think it has too many underlying meshes and stuff like this. But anyway, it's possible, right? Maybe let's check it on a different mesh, because I have prepared this to show you some masks. Yeah. Hey, King's Ambassador, it's especially for you, the bottle. I hope you saw it. I probably extract it and post it as a video. Wasn't the best maybe, but I think you get the point from that. Again, I'm not a real product designer or anything like that, so it's quite hard for me, but I think this suffices, or I hope this suffices. Okay, so let's now add a multi-channel brush here. And use the planar symmetry. With Q we can change the axis. So yeah, on this mesh it works better. So we can nicely move that and change our symmetry point. And we can also reset it so we are perfectly in the middle again. Yeah, it works quite nicely. And I think this is also new. I'm not sure if it was in the other release, in the previous release again already. But when I use a mirror, an arrow, not a mirror. And we have two modes now. The one is that the brush will get mirrored, and when I turn that off, it's mirrored as well. Okay, something weird happening today. Okay, I think it's for something else. It's not the arrow, but let's use the InstaMAT icon. I think I messed this up. Yeah, so we have basically two modes now. Okay, what's next? Let's quickly delete this. And let's maybe take another look at the radial symmetry, because I really like it a lot. Let's turn off this, because it sometimes irritates me, but it's quite awesome when you don't know the shortcuts. So let's get back to radial symmetry. Let's change the axis. Let's maybe increase the count. Yeah, so basically the same thing that we did for the bottle. But for example, the lazy stroke here is supported as well. So in general, you have everything for this brush that you have for the regular brush, because it's actually the regular brush, it's just symmetrical over the whole mesh. And with this, we can make quite a lot of nice things. Which was this one? I think it's that. It's not that. Yeah, I have to optimize those meshes and make them usable actually. So yeah, you can paint awesome things. Yeah, it's somehow one of my favorite features from this release. So it's really fun to play around with that. Painting with the mouse is a bit weird. Okay, let's maybe take a look at some masks. Yeah, again, I really have to optimize those meshes when I use them. Oh, we are already streaming for 50 minutes. That was quick. Yeah, still a few things to show. Give me a quick break. I will be back in, 5 minutes. Okay, I'm back, guys. I think I show the mesh, not mesh mirror, but mesh normal mask. God, I really have to fix those meshes. So yeah, where is it? Didn't I use it? Mesh normal mask. This one is quite awesome. You can basically pick areas on your mesh. And yeah, this will mask based on the normal of the polygons. So for example, when I increase that, you can see it will take more and more of the mesh here. Set it to 10, maybe 14. And we can also pick multiple areas like this. And at some point it will also mask this part here. So it really depends. You have to play around a bit when you have slopes or something like that you want to mask. And what's really great about this, what I think this is my favorite feature of the mask. And we can actually pick single polygons when we set that to 0, so you can use it as a mesh, yeah, as a polygon mask. I think this will make masking stuff a lot easier. I think it's one of my favorite masks. And yeah, then we have the mesh mirror, which is also quite nice. Not working in this case. I think it's not meant to use like this. But it's quite awesome for painting or for, especially for the curves. I mean, for painting you have the planar symmetry. Okay, something. I need to flip that. Right. Yeah, so basically this acts like a symmetry. I never tried it, but I think it's possible to blur it. Let's just try it. Should be possible, right? It's possible. Yeah, I mean, it's especially good when you have, when you mask single polygons. Let's see, do we have anti-aliasing here? Nope. Yeah, but I think blurring is good to have. Yeah, I forgot to show the mesh mirror. Yeah, the mesh mirror with the curves. But again, I think I showed it in the video. But anyway, let's just do it on this mesh here. So while painting curves, you don't have the planar symmetry, but you can use the mesh mirror. And I always mess up the axes. No, I think it can't because they are binary, right? Yeah, so the mesh mirror is quite awesome too. And then there's a new effect available, the mesh directional blur. And this is quite nice because it will blur based on the mesh. So it will always follow the mesh, not orientation, but yeah, let's say orientation. I think you get what I mean. Yeah, it's basically consistent with the directionality across the mesh surface. Okay, what do we have next? Oh, the gizmos got improved. As you can see, we now have those squares, and you can move your gizmo based on 2 axes at once. Not only in one direction. And I think what people also wanted when I start a new asset texturing project, you can now choose the up axis of your mesh. So when your mesh is not facing Y up, you can set it to Y up or X up, Z up, and the handedness as well. So no need anymore for have proper mesh orientation. But it's always good to have, so it's predictable. But in case you don't have it, you can always choose it on mesh import. Let's check the bevel baking because it got quite enhanced. There is this mesh bake bevel normals, and I can just drag and drop it to my layer stack. Okay, doesn't make too much sense on this part. On this probably. We have to set it to UV projection. And we can now bevel meshes directly while texturing. And what's quite cool, you can choose the mask mode to, for example, polygon. And you get this gizmo with a bounding box. And like this, you can bevel only parts of the mesh. So the polygon mode will bevel everything that is connected to the polygon. So as you can see, it bevels this until here. And when we choose volume, it will only bevel what's actually in this volume here. And I think we can create multiple of those. So when I duplicate that, okay, it works in the element graph. Don't seem to work here. So let's show it in the element graph. I had it prepared somewhere. Bevel baking. So I have the same mesh. I'll preview my normal. Let's select it. We have two gizmos. And like this again, you can choose parts of the mesh. And I think the use case is, for example, when you have, I don't know, some weapons for a game or something like that, and you want to bevel parts of it, but other parts not. You can just bevel parts of that. I think it's quite useful in some cases. And yeah, in the element graph, you can just duplicate that. And let's move it here. I don't have it previewed, so let's preview that. Let's use this one as well. And let's set a different radius. Let's make it big so it's a bit better visible. And when I now use a normal combine and combine those and preview that as my normal map, I now have the possibility to have different bevel radiuses on different parts of the mesh. And yeah, we could export this normal. In this case, yeah, again, the mesh is not really prepared for that. It has multi-materials, and I would just need to set it up a bit different and filter the UV tiles to make it, yeah, exportable. Okay. I think we are coming to an end. Soon, at least. I'm just checking the changelog, what's worth to show. Or what I can show. Again, I'm not too prepared, unfortunately. I think the focus was more on asset texturing. Good question. We have a few new nodes. Yeah, but I think the focus on this release was more towards asset texturing. I'm just checking the changelog. Yeah, there are small improvements like not asset texturing, but let's go to element graph. The Bezier curve dynamic now also has curve outputs like point data and curves data. So previously only this one featured it. So this is the node where you can not only paint one curve, but multiple curves. And you now have the points data. So when I go to, God, it's quite a while since I used those. I think it's curves line. So we can now use Or curves warp. Actually, let's use the curves mapper, I think. So we can now, yeah, paint multiple curves here. Instead of creating multiple of those. Yeah, then appending them. Make something quick. Yeah, to be able to work on multiple curves, it was always needed to append those first, but now you have, as you have those outputs here, you can paint multiple curves in one node and use them directly as is. Yeah, there are obviously some bug fixes. Some new nodes. I think the main focus was really on curves, as there's also this curves select range. Where you can select ranges of the curves. So this is new as well. Okay, did you ever try importing SVG? I didn't, so I'm not sure if it's possible. Honestly. But yeah, that sounds good. Ah, I see. So you want to create your curves in Illustrator, for example, and import it with the curves data, right? Yeah, I also didn't test it, so can't say anything about that. But yeah, sounds like a great feature. You're right, I think it isn't possible currently. But yeah, this would be great to have. But then again, you can do quite a lot with those as well. You can make this bigger so you have more space for working. But sure, something like Illustrator, which is dedicated to curves, probably has more functionality in it. I never really used Illustrator actually, so no clue. But I suspect it has more features as it's dedicated to curves or, yeah, design. Yeah, I think the main focus was really on curves, as it seems, or on asset texturing, and then yeah, the UI is a bit overhauled. So as you can see, the new project button is now on the left, and it's everything a bit more ordered. What also got improved is something in the viewport. If, for example, choose this material, and when you now turn on the wireframe, previously it was flat, now it really shows the displacement. And yeah, we can adjust the width. I think this is also new, not sure. But yeah, when I increase the displacement factor, you can see it, yeah, it really shows the displacement now. Also for asset texturing, so this works here as well. But yeah, there are quite a lot of small fixes, so if you want to see everything, just check out the release list or the changelog. Ah, yeah. What's also quite interesting for me, for example, is when you use the blur, you can now you have sampling modes from. You can see it because it's not tiling. Yeah, you're welcome, but I'm not Manfred. Okay, I don't have anything on my mind to showcase that. Maybe this will work. So yeah, when we clamp this, this doesn't repeat anymore. So it's useful when you have something like that, for example, and you want to scatter that, but you don't want this to tile. Then this will not tile anymore. So for me, it's something really useful. I'm not sure if Slope Blur has it. I think Slope Blur has only one direction, but would be nice to add. Okay, guys, if there are any questions left, just ask, but I think I'll come to an end soon. Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for being here. Quite nice, didn't expect you to be here, but quite awesome. Okay, guys, so have a great evening, great weekend, and yeah, see you in the next one. I try to stream a bit more frequent. Okay, great. Thanks for watching and